Where are you going with your announcement?
Look, I'm declaring Young Turks mainstream progressive. And so that's kind of bold because it's a made-up category. And when I say it, people all over the internet hate me, right, in every different faction. And they'll say, oh, who is Cenk Uygur to make up mainstream progressive? Oh, I'm not going to follow that. Nobody's going to follow that. Well, I'm planting a flag. TYT is home of progressives. That's the whole network. You're a leftist. You're mainstream progressive. You're a moderate Democrat. No problem. Everybody come to TYT, okay? Home of progressives. But Young Turks, the flagship show that Anna and I do, we're mainstream progressive because I'm sorry, but I don't agree with the leftists. I don't agree with the radical left, right? So I don't agree with the establishment and I don't agree with those guys. So we've got to have a home for us. And if you brought me a mainstream progressive that doesn't have some of the radical positions you guys are worried about, we win, okay? But I tried. I asked a lot of people to run. And you know the number one thing that people are worried about when I ask progressives about running? They all say the same thing. Mainstream media. Mainstream media will bury us. They will try to destroy our lives. In the old days, they did assassinations. Now they do character assassinations.
We saw that. They did that with your favorite guy, Trump. They did that for God knows how many years, right?
Now, look,
he is the ultimate character assassination guy.
Big time.
Yes and no. So yes, definitely they character assassinated him. But he reminds me of the Jeff Zucker quote as to why they fired him at CNN. He had the relationship internally. He's like, I loaded a gun and handed it to him, and they shot me with it, right? Trump is loading gun after gun. Here, I'll break this law. I'll break this law. I'll take the documents home. And he's handing loaded gun after loaded gun to the people who want to assassinate his character in the first place. If Trump is as bad as I think he is, would I want to run a super weak old man who doesn't even want to campaign against him?
Yeah.
A guy whose popularity is oftentimes in the 30s. Here's a giant lie of the mainstream media. Only Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump. Wait, why? First of all, tons of people can beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump's in the 30s in approval rating. Jim Jablowski can beat Donald Trump. The only people who can't beat Donald Trump are establishment Democrats who are deeply unpopular because they're fakes and they're phonies, right? So they say, oh, Biden beat him last time. He beat him by 43,000 votes in 3 swing states. It doesn't matter how much he won the popular vote by. The Electoral College, he only won by the skin of his teeth, and he was 15 points higher at that point. The Democrats are walking into a slaughter with their eyes wide open and saying, I would rather lose to Trump than have a progressive as our candidate.
So let's stay on this. So number one, 3 announcements. You're not running. 2, Young Turks is now the progressive mainstream media, is what you're calling it. Is that fair, what I said?
Mainstream progressive.
Mainstream progressive. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mainstream progressive. And 3, Justice is coming. Put the link down. The first book you've ever written. We'll get back to this at the end of it as well, just so if some people want to order his book, we're going to put the link below.
One favor, just define progressive. And then at the same time, you said you weren't a fan of the woke left. Make that distinction.
Okay, great question. So number one, mainstream progressive believes in all of Bernie Sanders' economic policies. So paid family leave, higher minimum wage, Medicare for all, end of gerrymandering, end of bribery in politics, corporate cash, et cetera. Those are all incredibly popular positions. 2/3 of the country wants all of that, okay? But you mentioned AOC. I wouldn't advise AOC to run. Some of her positions are too radical left.
And the world's going to end. So she said the world's going to end. So why even run if the world's going to end?
Well, that's a different question.
Yeah.
That's about climate change, and we could come back to that. But she went on air on CNN. We're talking about abortion. 70% of the country agrees with us. They should be legal in the first 2 trimesters, right? And she starts referring to mothers as birthing persons. I'm like, what are you doing? You know how many people want to refer to moms as birthing persons? 2%.
Yeah, and your girl Anna caught some heat over that.
Yeah, and so we drew the line and said, no, we're not going to call moms people with uteruses. And they're like, you're doing that out of nowhere. You're attacking us. No, brothers and sisters, if you're going to run against Biden, you're going to run to try to win the country over. Mm-hmm. Don't go to the 2% position. Go to the 70% position. So many progressive policies are sitting right there at 70%. Run on those. But she can't help herself. So she's going to run on things like birthing person. And I mean, look, some on the left now believe in abolishing prisons. I'm sorry, guys, I love you. And I do. They're on our network and they're good people and they mean well. But that's not so. Nobody believes in that, right? So
do they understand the fallacy of their argument? Do they truly understand how ridiculous they sound?
No, they don't. I
Why?
mean, look, they had this debate on a show with a right winger and a left winger. Brianna Joy Gray was on the left, and she's making the argument for abolishing prisons. Yeah. And the right wing guy, who I don't agree with normally at all, he's like, yes, but if I hit somebody in the face with a brick, I go to prison, right? And she's like, no. I'm like,
what the hell? And what was the reason for that?
Because prisons are awful. That's true. Prisons are awful. That's why we should reform them. Like, for example, my whole life, everybody's like, oh, yeah, you get raped in prison. I'm like, why is that? Oh, yeah. Like, we should fix that.
Comes with the sentence.
Right. Do you know that
here's your jumpsuit and then some lube. Best of luck.
You know, the last time I checked the stats, more men get raped than women because of prisons. That's insane.
Because they moved away from soaps to gel. Like
yeah.
That's scientific.
So
Can you pull up?
So they're not wrong that prisons are awful and we should reform them. And Norway's the better model, even though it drives me crazy because I kind of like vengeance a little bit. But Norway brings down recidivism so much more than we do.
What's their model?
But they're saying, no, we get rid of them, and eventually we have kumbaya. We had them on the show. We asked 1,000 times, and then what? And they talk about, like, restorative justice. Oh, you can do restorative justice. You can, for a lot of people, right? That took the wrong turn. But some folks just are born different.
This guy just murdered 4 people. What do you want to do with this guy?
Yeah, I'm not letting him out. By the way, if you ask the same exact folks on the left, hey, should Trump go to prison? They're like, yes. Wait a minute, I thought we were abolishing prisons.
Yeah.
Okay, why is Trump going to prison? Why color criminals going to prison?
What do they say to that?
They
want
answer.
Trump to go to Alcatraz.
Ridiculous.
Like they want to put him on an island, Alcatraz, with Sean Connery.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to make them out to be like a huge part of the left. They're a tiny percentage of the left, right?
But we all know they make the